Hey guys, it's Brooke. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm very new to this. I've never done this before. I've never edited before, so bear with me. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing story times, mukbangs, maybe just a little like day in the life type things. Who knows? We'll see where this goes. Don't hold me to it. I can't guarantee I'm going to post all the time. Anyway, without further ado, today I have a story time about the time that I was expelled from high school. Now, this, looking back, I can laugh about it, but in the moment, it was very traumatizing. And I feel like it really kind of molded who I am now. I went through a lot back then, and I feel like I'm a better person now, and I've learned a lot from that experience. So, I hate long intros, so let's get into the video. I have a sheet of paper here because I can never stay on topic, so. So when I was in 7th grade, I became really, really close friends with this group of girls. It was me and like 4 or 5 other girls. We were all the same age. We were all kind of from broken homes, or had a really like tough kind of home life, and we just became very, very close because of that. I feel like we could like really relate to each other because of that. So anyway, we were just the 5 musketeers, we were all best friends. We didn't do anything without each other. We just hung out all the time. And I think once we got to 8th grade is when we started smoking cigarettes, skipping school a little bit, hanging out at the park, which the park by my house was like the go-to spot to hang out. Like that's where we got in all of our trouble, almost all of it. And yeah, we started, experimenting with weed. And then my freshman year is when we started experimenting with alcohol, a little bit more of the harder substances. I got drunk for my first time, which that's another story time, because that's really crazy. A really crazy story of the first time I got drunk. And yeah, we just started doing all those things together and skipping school and, just not doing all of the right things that we should have been doing. I was arrested a few times, got into some legal trouble for truancy and marijuana. And yeah, so towards like the middle of my freshman year, maybe a little bit before that, I started getting really bad into pills. I would steal pills from my mom and my dad. My mom was she had some Vicodin because she had a bunch of surgeries, and she had like some anxiety medications, and I would take that. And then my grandparents, they had their Vicodin for, whatever they were dealing with. And I would take their medicine. I remember taking my dad's like blood pressure medicine. I don't know why. I just thought, oh, like maybe my heart will race and it'll feel good. I don't know. I really don't know. So my pill addiction got pretty bad. I was taking Adderall almost every day, not sleeping. I wasn't eating. It was just a really hard time for me. I had this guy at my school who would give me Adderall, and sometimes I wouldn't even have to pay him. He would just give it to me. And I was at the point where every single day I was going to school, I was really messed up. I was on a lot of drugs. I couldn't stay awake in school. I remember falling asleep at my desk, and my teacher had to wake me up. Falling asleep while writing something on my paper at school. And then if I was on Adderall, I remember just getting in a bunch of trouble because I would never stop talking, and I was bubbly, and I was like out there, and yeah, so my pill addiction got pretty bad. It was pretty bad for a few months. And then me and my group of friends, were also friends with this one guy. And I don't exactly remember how I got caught up with this. I think he was selling Adderall too, like before, but I never really bought from him. Anyway, so I was in computer class with him, and he handed me some Adderall to hand to someone else, and then they handed me money that I gave to him. So I wasn't making any profit off of this. I was just in the middle, like handing the pills, handing the money. And someone must have seen, I don't know if it was a teacher, I don't know if it was a student, someone saw what happened, and shortly after that I was called into the principal's office. Now, when I was called down there, I didn't really know what was going on because I had been in a lot of trouble before. So I was like, oh, I'm probably just, getting in trouble for truancy again, or, So I get called in there. I think it was like the vice principal, And he sits me down and he's asking me all these questions, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Because I was just the one that handed the pills back and forth, I really didn't think that I had anything to do with that back in my head. So I was just kind of confused, like, what are you talking about? Like, I almost forgot about it just because it was so natural for me to, like, help out a friend or whatever. So I was called into the office. There was a police officer in there, the principal, or like the vice principal. The principal was never even in there. And it was a few other people too. And I was just questioned for hours and hours and hours. I remember not saying anything, just being very quiet with my head down because A, I didn't want to get anyone else in trouble, and B, I didn't want to get myself into more trouble than I already was. Because, like, if they're asking me these questions, they obviously already know, like, what's going down. So after they asked me a billion questions and I just kind of sat there. I mean, I was on pills at this time too, so I really wasn't that coherent. I was just kind of like whatever, and I was a really angsty kid. I hated everyone, and yeah. So after that, they searched my backpack. They found all of the prescriptions that I had stolen from my grandparents and my dad and my mom, which was a lot. I had a lot in there. They found weed, pipes, they found some seeds at the bottom of my backpack that thought I was gonna start growing or something. And I'm like, dude, no. They found cigarettes, they found lighters. Basically anything but schoolwork was in my backpack. And after that, they searched my person, and it was a male officer, and there was no other women in the room at all, and I was 14, because I was a freshman, so, yeah, 14 years old, and I had a male officer groping my boobs and in between my legs and all that. It was a great experience. And after that, they were like, okay, well, we're going to need some time to go call your mom. Like, you just hang tight here. And I'm like, whatever. And then they go call my mom, and I go to my social worker's office, which was in it was, I don't know, like a couple steps down the hallway. And I go in there, and I'm just like, dude, what the heck did I get myself into? I'm like, I'm in so much trouble right now. And she's like, what happened? What happened? And I'm just like telling her this whole story of everything that happened. And she was like, okay, well, I mean, how are you feeling? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling too hot right now. Like, I kind of want to kill myself. And at that moment, I guess I didn't really realize what I was saying, especially to who I was saying it to, because I wasn't necessarily suicidal. I was a very angsty teenager, and I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, and when people got in the way of that, then I was not a happy camper. If I was not allowed to hang out with my friends, do the most, then I didn't want it. Like, I didn't want to listen to anyone of authority. So I told her that I wanted to kill myself. I'm like, I just want out. I can't do this. My mom's going to be so disappointed. My dad, my grandpa, like my whole family is going to be so disappointed in me. They're not going to talk to me ever again. I'm like, I need out. And she was like, okay, well, just hang on. We're going to get through this, blah, 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 whatever. And then I had to end up going back to the office where my vice principal was. And my mom showed up to the school to pick me up, and she gave me the death glare, and I'm pretty sure she wanted to wring my neck and break my legs, because this was probably the most devastating thing that could have happened to her, you know, and it sucks that I had to put her through that because she didn't deserve it. Sorry. I was just very, very disappointed in myself, and I didn't want to let my family down, and I knew that if I would have just made like a few right decisions, that I would not have been in that situation, and I felt like a disappointment to my family. I'm sorry. Anyway, so my mom took me home. I was basically grounded for life. She told me I'm never leaving the house ever again. And my social worker actually has to report it when I told her that I wanted to kill myself. So, we got home, and then immediately I had to pack to go to the mental hospital. So the adolescent inpatient mental hospital. And I could do a whole other story time on that experience, but I was there for about a month. Like 3 weeks to a month. And yeah, so when I got out of there, I was basically told that I have to go to rehab. I have to do community service. I have to do online school and therapy in order to be allowed back into school for the next year, so my sophomore year. And I was totally down. I'm like, whatever I need to do to fix this situation is what I need to do, because it was just a really hard time for me and my whole family. You know, my grandpa was very, very, very upset about it. My sisters, I don't think me and my one sister talked for a while, you know. It was really hard on us. And then, yeah, so while all of this expulsion stuff was happening, me and my friend group, we kind of broke up. So the friends that I was very close with, they thought that I was the one who snitched on everybody because they all got pulled into the office as well. I didn't. Like I said, I just kind of sat there and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get anyone else in trouble, and I didn't want to further get myself in trouble. So I did not say a word about anything about anyone. Plus, it was just me and this guy and some other girl. I don't even remember who I was passing the pills to. That's how, like, long ago this was. Or, like, how unimportant this situation was to me. Like, I don't even remember who the pills were for. So, I guess all of my friends, you know, got pulled in the office and questioned, and I think a few of them got suspended. But me and the guy were the only ones who got expelled from school. We were the only ones who were not allowed to come back. So, that doesn't make quite a lot of sense to me if I was the one who, you know, snitched on all my friends. Because I wouldn't do that, A, and then B, that doesn't make sense if I was the only one who got expelled, you know? So that was a really hard time for me too, because I remember calling one of my friends when I was in the mental hospital, and she was like, you know, my dad told me that I'm not allowed to talk to you anymore. And after that, I didn't talk to pretty much any of my friends. And so once I got home, we lived in a white duplex. Our whole house was white. And I remember waking up one day, my sister had to go to school, and on the side of my house, it said, "Fuck you, Brooke, you fucking snitch," in black spray paint. And then on the front, it said my sister's name and, your pussy stinks or something like that. And it was in big letters. It was the whole entire garage and the whole side of my house. We never figured out who it was. My mom called the cops and stuff, and we just painted over it. We never found out who it was. I mean, I have an inkling, but I don't really know. I never really knew. So, yeah, so I ended up going to an outpatient rehab facility as well. So it was me and like 3 or 4 other kids. We were doing outpatient rehab. It was every single day for a few hours, and then 1 day a week our parents would come with us. And then we also had to go to AA meetings together. So we would all kind of go find whichever AA or NA meetings we, felt we wanted to go to. We got pretty close. I was kind of surprised how close we got. I don't talk to any of them anymore. I think I'm friends with a few of them on Facebook. Mind you, I've been through this exact program 4 times in my life. So 2 of them were adult, 2 of them were adolescent, because after this time, there was another time. But yeah, so the rehab thing was fine. I mean, I met my therapist there who I was with for a very, very long time, and I loved her dearly, and I'm still very close with the therapists over there. They helped me through a lot, especially during that time. It was very, very dark for me. And then I did my community service. Actually, I didn't do any of it. My mom just wrote off on the paper that I did it. And then I enrolled in online school. I think I took a math class, an English class, and a gym class, which was really weird. And then after all of that, we had a meeting with the superintendent. It was my mom, my oldest sister, and me in this office with the superintendent. And I think my grandpa might have been there. I'm not sure. But yeah, and then they basically were like, okay, well, you've done everything you need to do, and we're proud of you. And I had been sober completely. I wasn't even dabbling in anything. I wasn't even allowed to go anywhere, so I just kind of sat at home all day. And that's actually when I started getting into YouTube and, watching a lot of YouTube videos. So, yeah, I was sober. I was doing better. My mind was in a way better place. It was a pretty eye-opening experience for me. And then by the time I got to my sophomore year, I was able to go back to school. Now, the first day back at school was pretty awkward because everyone knew my story. I had death threats on Facebook, people wanting to kill me. My sisters had to actually take my Facebook down when I was in Meriter, or the mental hospital. They had to take my Facebook down because I was getting so many threats. So everyone knew my story and what had happened. And I went to a school of 2,000 kids. So that's a lot for every single person to know your story. That's a lot. So my first day back was very nerve-wracking. I got a lot of dirty looks. I got a lot of people asking me, what the fuck are you doing here? Why are you here? I thought you fell off the face of the planet and died. What the fuck? So that was very interesting. And then by that time, most of the friends in my friend group were either at the alternative school or not in school anymore. So I didn't have to worry about seeing them really, which was good because it was just all awkward in general. It was a big falling out. They hated me. I hated them. Now we're all pretty much back on good terms for the most part. We don't talk, but we don't have bad blood towards each other, So it was just a very interesting situation. I never thought that something like that would have happened to me, even though I was rolling with the wrong crowd or whatever, or I was the wrong crowd. I was the bad influence. It was just a very heartbreaking experience for my family, and something that really opened up my eyes because I knew that I needed to get my shit together. I knew that I had to make a change or I was probably gonna die because my addiction was really, really bad. And there was a time where I actually fainted on the floor because I hadn't eaten or drank water or slept in a week because I was on Adderall. So let this be, I wanted to share my story to let this be, a lesson to someone or something that someone can relate to. Because you look at a girl like me and you're like, oh, she got a silk robe on, she bougie. she never been through shit. But I actually have. And I think sharing my story can just, let people into my life and who I am. And that makes me happy, and that's what I want to do with this channel. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Yeah, love you guys.